in Mexico. Jason is calling. Hi, Jason. Welcome to the EntreLeadership Podcast.
Hey, Dave. It's going pretty good, and you? How about yourself? Sorry, I'm a little bit nervous.
No troubles. How can we help? What's up?
So a little bit of context before I ask my question. I work in the family business, which is a chain of gas stations owned by my dad, my grandpa, and my uncles, located in Mexico. And I work in IT, and I'm also in charge of our cash flow. So I'm not directly involved in this next question, but my dad and I do usually talk about decisions before either of us make any final decisions. Like I said, we work in a gas station chain. We have about in the gas station that I work at, we have 35 employees, and last year our revenue was at $12 million, just about. And so we have an employee who has a wife and 4 kids, one of them being a 2-week-old baby. My question is, this employee has been sexually harassing other employees, and we need to fire him. I'm struggling because he lives in employer-provided housing and will probably be homeless when we fire him. So what would be the right thing to do?
Okay. Well, I mean, we've got to work both sides of the equation because it's a human equation, and we're always set out to be as kind and generous to folks as we possibly can. And you have the bandwidth financially to be kind. The first thing that comes to mind is, how long has this been going on, and why did y'all put up with this so long without confronting the guy?
We've only noticed this about 2 weeks ago, and since the holidays came up with Easter and so on, and we've been extremely busy, we haven't really been able to get around to really talk with the guy, but we have been keeping a close eye on him.
So you noticed it, someone didn't complain?
No, somebody came to us, one of our other employees came to us about this.
Okay, so is this a one-off thing that he could be reprimanded for and keep his job, or is this a pattern where he's been going on and on and on and on and has got to be fired?
No, it's a pattern.
But you just discovered the pattern. You didn't know it was there before this week.
Before about 2 weeks ago, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we always laughingly say there's not going to be sexual harassment at Ramsey. My daughters work here. There might be a murder, but there's not going to be sexual harassment here. So we don't put up with it either. Well, I got no tolerance for creepers. The ladies in the building, they have to be safe and feel safe and actually be safe. There's just nothing. So I agree. The guy has got to go. Okay, so he's fired. Now he's got a baby and a house problem. Okay.
Exactly.
Now, how quickly does he get reemployed and find new housing?
Okay, so Mexico, renting is not quite the option, and they are not financially equipped enough to buy themselves a house.
Where were they living before they moved into your property?
They lived all the way in Belize, a different country, and they came here and they found our job, and we
They were living on the street before they found your job?
No, they lived in Belize, a different country. So
I understand. You mean you hired someone to work in a gas station from another country, and they moved they never lived in your area prior to working for you.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, I don't know enough about your particular part of Mexico. I'm not an expert on it. You are. So I don't know exactly how to address it. But what I'm going to do if I'm the employer, he's fired. Now,
okay.
How can I help them financially a little bit until they make a new arrangement for their life? How can I give them some bridge help? Now, obviously, they don't need to be in company housing 6 months from now. But if they stay there a month or two because as a part of a plan to go somewhere else, and we help them feed the baby as part of a plan to go somewhere else, maybe that's part of a severance package to make sure the child is taken care of and their housing is taken care of as a bridge to the next part of their life that they find that is sustainable. But your obligation to them past a certain point is zero. It's his obligation to his family.
Okay.
I mean, in other words, it's not ethical. It's not proper ethics to say 5 years from today, he's still on your payroll and living in your house doing nothing because he had a baby and didn't have a place to live. That's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely.
So if 5 years is ridiculous, I think 1 year is ridiculous. Do you?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so I'm dialing back to what's not ridiculous, but also I'm not putting them in the street in the morning with no money and a baby and no place to live. So that's ridiculous on my part. I'm not willing to be that inhumane. So not his baby's fault that he's a creeper. And so that he's engaging in sexual harassment with the ladies that work in the organization, and they're complaining, and you can't have it. So he's got to go. But on the other hand, we're going to say some number of months, we're going to take care of your food and we're going to take care of your housing for you to make a transition. And in order for that to happen, you have to show us that you have a plan to leave.
Okay.
Because people like this will sit there until the last minute and then 2 months from now have done nothing, and then you're the bad guy for throwing the baby in the street, right?
Right.
So we can't just toss them, oh, we're going to give you 2 months, and we're going to give you 2 months of food, and we're going to give you 2 months of pay or whatever it is, and at the end of that, hope they have figured it out. I don't think this guy's that sharp, do you?
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so I got to help him. I got to make sure he finds another plan, because after the 2 month mark or the 3 month mark or whatever it is you and your family come up with that is fair for him to live in your housing, because you're being merciful and gracious and generous, considering he's a freaking creeper, and still we're going to take care of his family anyway, because that says something about us, not about him. And we're going to do the right thing, but we're also going to require that he take the steps to reach a sustainable situation for his family, a new job and new housing.
Okay.
And here's what I would do. The way I answer, I tell my leaders this all the time. I love your question, because the best way to answer a good business ethics question is, what would you want someone to do if the roles were reversed? Okay? Walk a mile in the other guy's moccasins for a minute. The Bible says, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. That's my HR manual. And then I tell my team, when we're wrestling with these things, and we wrestle with them. I mean, these are struggles when you get in these situations. It's not cut and dried. We're not corporate America. We don't just cut people's throat and see if they bleed out like corporate America does. Small business people don't do that. We wrestle with these decisions. We love these people. We love that little baby and that guy living in our house. We know his wife. We've had dinner with them probably, that kind of stuff. So we wrestle with this stuff, people like you, Jason, people like me. So when we're wrestling with it, one of the ways I answer the question is, we always end up erring on the side of too much grace, because the way I always say is, when I'm 92 and I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to miss that extra $10,000, but I will feel horrible if I mistreated a family. I'll remember it when I'm 92. I won't remember the $10,000. Screw it. It's just $10,000. Okay? So again, I'm not saying you be crazy and opulent in your generosity or something, but if you're going to make an error, make it on being too nice. And so if I get to the end of this, 2 months, and I said 2 months, and he's about to run out of money and he's about to run out of house, and he goes, hey man, I got a job, but it doesn't start for 2 weeks. I'm going to give him another 2 weeks, because he's got a way out, and I'm not going to cut him off right there at the end when he almost made it out. You follow me? So even though the guy's a twerp, even though he's a creeper, we're still going to take care of him and his family because of what it says about us, not what it says about him. And then I'll even give him a little bit more, as long as it's part of a clean exit. If he's just sitting there giving me the finger after 2 months, I'm putting him out. I'm done. My patience is up. I'm making up the 2 months. I'm not saying 2 months is magical. You might decide it's 4 months. You might decide it's 1 month. I don't know the situation. You got to ascertain, can he get housing and can he get employment? And does he go back to Belize? Do we pay him $5,000 to go back to Belize? I don't care. whatever it is, you're going to love this family well as you get this creeper out of your business because you're taking care of the ladies in your business because he's not going to be around them anymore. And so it's just expensive to do the right thing. And the good news is you guys are making some money, so you got a little bit of margin. And here's the interesting thing. When you take care of people, they're not the only ones that know it. The rest of the team is watching. And so when somebody has cancer and you keep them on the payroll for a year while they fight cancer, it's not just for them. Everyone else is watching while you do that. It's an investment in who you are, in the DNA of your organization. You're making a statement. We're not corporate freaking cutthroat America. These are people. They're humans with families, and we take care of them. That's our brand differentiation when we're hiring. We might not have the glorious bullcrap that some of these people have in their buildings and their dadgum stupid but benefits packages and all this stuff. But you're not going to get loved in corporate America like you are when you work for a family-owned small business. They're not going to cut your throat most of the time. They're going to be just like Jason. They're going to be wrestling with, how do I fire a guy, even though he really needs a good firing, when it's going to make him homeless and he's got a brand new baby? Corporate America doesn't ask a question like that. They put you in the street. Small business does. That's why I love small business. It's why it's been the backbone of America and why it always will. Thank you, Jason. You're good people, man.